Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today we're making pineapple upside down cupcakes. Today we're taking the classic nostalgic pineapple upside down cake and making it miniature sized. You're going to want to get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and grab yourself a cupcake tin. We'll be making 12 cupcakes today. All right, let's start with the topping, the bottom, the upside down part of this recipe. The first thing you're going to need is 6 tablespoons of melted butter. I am using salted butter for the top, and I'm going to evenly divide this into each muffin tin. So I'm going to actually use my half tablespoon to divide this. Now, one thing I want to note is that I am using a non-stick cookie sheet today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be brushing the sides with a little bit of this butter after I divide it. If your baking sheet is not non-stick or your cupcake tin isn't non-stick, I would recommend spraying the sides with a baking spray before you start adding the butter. Once that's all divided, I'm just going to take a pastry brush and, like I mentioned, I'm just going to brush the sides with some butter just to keep these from sticking. We have the windows open today as we're baking. It's a beautiful day outside, so I don't know if you guys can hear the birds or my rooster's crowing over there. So might pick up some background noise, but it's pretty pleasant background noise. All right, if you've ever had pineapple upside down cake, you know that once you invert it, the top is this nice caramelized, fruity, buttery topping. So to get that caramelization, we're going to need some sugar, and I use brown sugar. So you'll need 3/4 cup of brown sugar, firmly packed, and that's 12 tablespoons. And we're going to put a tablespoon of brown sugar into each cavity here. I like to just kind of crumble it in. Don't like to just drop the tablespoon right in there. And you'll just have a big clump of brown sugar there. I've actually gotten so many requests for this recipe on my classic pineapple upside down cake. And what a lot of you don't know is I actually developed this recipe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I shared it on a friend's website. So now I'm finally sharing it on my website. Last little bit of sugar here. Next is our pineapple. We're going to be using canned pineapple chunks today. You're going to need 28 ounces, which is typically 2 cans, at least 2 cans of pineapple chunks. You could cut your own pineapple. You end up needing about a little under 2.5 cups of pineapple. So what we're gonna do with these is we are going to press 4 of them into our cupcake pan, make a little flour, and I'm firmly nestling it into that brown sugar there. And I do try to drain the pineapple pretty well before I put it into the pan. It doesn't need to be completely dry, I just don't want it to be dripping wet. Next up, maraschino cherries. You'll need 12 of these. And we are just going to press these right into the center. Some of these cherries are a little big. I'm just squishing them in there. All right, we can go ahead and slide this out of the way. And real quickly, I should probably address this baking sheet. So I have made these cupcakes plenty of times and I've never had any problem with overflow or anything like that. But a couple of people who made them in the past said that the cupcake tins overflow a little bit in their oven and spill onto their oven. Just as a precaution to avoid that, I would recommend taking a cookie sheet, lining it with foil or parchment paper, and then putting your cupcake tray on top of that. Just in case any spills happen, this is going to make cleanup so much easier for you. So this is just a precaution. But we're going to slide this out of the way for now, grab a large mixing bowl. We're going to start making that cupcake portion of our pineapple upside down cupcakes. We're going to start with 1/2 cup or 1 stick or 113 grams of softened unsalted butter. We'll add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar in with that. And you could make today's recipe in the bowl of your stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment. That would work just fine. But today I'm just going to be using my electric hand mixer. We're going to cream together the butter and the sugar until it's light and fluffy and well creamed. All right. Once this is looking good, we're going to add our eggs. You need 2 large eggs for today's recipe. These should be at room temperature so that they combine nicely into your batter. There's one. This one is very round. We'll add our eggs. We're also going to add our vanilla flavoring here. I'm using a teaspoon of vanilla extract. We'll stir this in until everything's well combined. Now for the base of these cupcakes today, I am actually using a half batch, essentially a half batch of my very popular vanilla cake recipe. I just love that one and it works so well and really works great with a pineapple. All right, so once that's all combined, done with these beaters, We're gonna slide this bowl out of the way and grab a separate medium-sized mixing bowl for our dry ingredients, starting with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We'll also be adding 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and just a 1/4 teaspoon of table salt. We'll go ahead and whisk these ingredients together so everything's nicely combined. You wanna make sure that the baking powder is well distributed. The next thing you're going to need is a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. So I did set this out in advance because I want it to be room temperature or close to room temperature, because again, it is really helpful when you're making a cake batter, if all of your ingredients are the same temperature. So what we're going to do now is we're going to alternate adding the flour mixture and the buttermilk to the batter. I always start with flour mixture, and I'll add this in about 3 parts. After I add the flour, I am going to use my spatula to gently combine this into the wet ingredients. I don't like to use the mixer at this point, stand mixer or electric, because it can overwork the cake batter and it could end up making your cakes a little too dry or dense. So once that flour mixture is mostly combined, then I'm going to add about 1/2 of the buttermilk, fold that in, some more of the flour mixture, do the rest of our buttermilk, and the rest of our dry ingredients. So we're just going to gently combine this until we have a nice uniform batter. All right, let's go ahead and divide this into our prepared cupcake tin. And I'm gonna go ahead and dollop the batter over the pineapple. We're gonna come back to it in just a second. So this batter's pretty thick, and you have those spaces between the pineapple that aren't going to just automatically be filled right away. So I just take a spoon and I sort of smooth the batter in there a little bit, just to help it fill that space. And you can fill each cupcake up to the top, or each cupcake tin up to the top, but don't overfill it like I was doing there. And if you have extra batter, you will just want to discard it. You don't want to overfill things, because that might be where you would run into the issue of things overflowing. This recipe should pretty neatly work in a 12-count muffin tin. If it doesn't, your pineapple might be a little bit thicker, your tin might be a little bit smaller. So don't try to force all of the batter in if it's not fitting. All right, we're gonna take these over to our 350 Fahrenheit preheated oven. They're going to bake in the center rack, and I find they typically need to bake for about 25 minutes. You're going to want to use the toothpick test, insert it in the center. It should come out clean or with a few moist crumbs. That's how you know they're finished baking. You also might notice some light golden browning around the edges. Now these cupcakes are going to need to cool in their pan for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I recommend taking a butter knife and just gently loosening them, especially in case they've stuck to the top any. See, I'm just gently going around the cupcake and making sure it's not stuck to the pan, because we're going to be inverting them and we don't want any of them to stick. All right, after cooling for just 5 minutes, we are going to invert these cupcakes. So you're definitely going to want to wear oven mitts for this. It's going to be very hot. You want to be very careful with this step. Grab a cooling rack, place it over the cupcakes, and very carefully, I don't want to spill anything on myself or fling anything on myself, we're going to invert the whole pan. And this tray comes in handy again, because you're definitely going to have some leakage or spillage here. So the tray is going to catch that. And then, still using your oven mitts, carefully lift everything, and hopefully we didn't lose any cupcakes. I usually don't, but things have a way of going wrong when I film them, so we'll see. I'm really nervous. Okay, one went a little awry, except for this one rogue. Well, I'm going to quickly flip. We're in pretty good shape. All right, now you're going to let these cool completely, or at least cool until they're not going to burn you before you enjoy them. All right, and once they're cooled enough that you can handle them, they are ready to enjoy. These are also really good served warm with a little bit of vanilla ice cream. However you like them, I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right. Man, the top is just, it's caramelized to perfection. That crumb, you're gonna love this. That's really good.